All right, so this is day number 2 of this project. We already got some mud on it. This thing's been cooking overnight. It's all dried up, so I'm gonna just get some rough sanding on it, get it smoothed down, knock down some of these high spots, so we can prep it for our next round of mud. Go ahead and let this thing speed up. Y'all don't need to watch all of that, in the slow motion. Pretty much it's just knocking down piece by piece. You don't want to get to the point where you taking too much of your compound off. All right, now we're gonna get outside and we're gonna whip us up some new mud. Pretty much I always start with my dry first. That way I can gradually get water into it, get it a little wet, mix it up as I go. That way I don't end up getting it too wet or having to put too much um mud in it, and then I have too much compound that I'm end up throwing away. So I start with a little bit of dry, depending on the project I'm looking at, kind of just eyeball it. Start with my dry and then just gradually put water into it. And when you're doing this, you want to be in a well ventilated area. If not, if you're doing this inside, make sure you got on a mask or something because this thing puts up some dust when you're pouring it in there. And so as you can see, I just got it, a little drip going in there and just mixing it as I go. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want to put too much water in it at first, and then you got to put more compound in it, or more compound in it just to get a nice consistency with your mix. And then now you got too much product that you're going to end up throwing away when you're done. And so once I get enough liquid in there, I just kind of stir it up, mix it up good till I get a good consistency that I'm looking for. Since I already got one coat on this, I don't need this one real thick. So I'm just gonna go with like a nice drip consistency with it. That way it can just I can level this out easy. And in my finishing job, I won't have a whole lot of high ridges or anything like that to sand off. So as we getting back up here, y'all gonna see, I'm just gonna try to get it up on the ceiling. That's the main thing. The one that I'm working with right now, this is a 20 minute mix. So it takes about 20 minutes for it to, start getting unworkable. So I got a little bit of time. So I'm gonna just get it up there anyway. And with me going a little bit not as thick on it, that gives me maybe a little bit more time. But yeah, the goal right now is just to get it up there, not making a big mess. And so pretty much there's nothing much to this. Just get it up there. Don't make a big mess. Don't get it all in your hair because I don't have a hair net or anything. So try to be real careful. And I got the pan right under the areas I'm working just to make sure, nothing, hits the floor. And so as you can see, those ridges are gonna start disappearing when you get out the big knife and start smoothing this stuff out. And that's gonna leave less work for when we gotta come back and sand. And what I'm looking to do, I smooth it all the way to the edges of our circle from our original light. That way, because there's a ridge there, and that ridge is there because of paint and everything. So we're gonna try to smooth that out to make it all level. It's crazy because when it comes to mudding and painting or drywalling, this is my favorite part. I hate painting. I don't like painting at all, but I like mudding. I like the process. It's almost therapeutic, when you start putting the mud on it and it looks like a mess and you just start smoothing it out. It's pretty calming. So, I like that. And like I said, last night, instead of making mud specifically for these two spots, I was just gonna wait till today till I know I was gonna make mud anyway. and all I got to do is put a few dabs up there to take care of those spots we punched those nails through, because as the nails came through, it took up some the drywall with it. I mean, I could have did it differently. I could have just drilled a hole down through it, but when I was in the attic, didn't have my drill, didn't bring all of those tools up. Um, and so, this is just a minor fix. This doesn't take much effort to what I'm doing right here. Got my smaller knife over there, just kind of filling in this hole. This one was a little bit deeper, so what I'm doing first is just coating it, trying to fill the hole, and then I'm gonna put more on it to, build that crevice up, to make it level with the rest of the ceiling. But again, this is just a small, easy little task right here. But it's like the most you do, the most you can do with your knife is you putting this mud on to smooth it up, the less you have to sand. And so with an area small as this, I don't want to really have to come back to do anything. So I'm just kind of, after I got on there, I'm kind of scraping off everything I can scrape off and smooth it as best as possible. All right, so we're getting into the last mile of this the ceiling job here. Pretty much, this is my second coat of mud on this thing. Second coat of mud. So I'm about to sand this down. This should be it. It's looking pretty decent, pretty level. So I'm gonna sand that down, and hopefully that's the last one. And we'll assemble this ceiling fan, get it up there, and we'll be done. Like I said last time, I was gonna those two spots I put the nails through from the attic, I mudded those since I already had some mud from this situation. So I went on ahead and mudded that, and I'm gonna just go ahead and sand that down, finish it. All right, we'll get it done. All right, so this a little bit later in life. That last coat that we put on the mud is dried up, and so I'm just going over it with the sander real quick. Pretty much, I think this is a 120. No, actually, it's probably a 220 that I got. 220 sanding sheet that I got on there. And pretty much I'm just coming back with a wet sponge just to finish up the areas, because I didn't want to use the sander all the way down to my finishing work, because I didn't want to make a mistake and then gouge or something. So for my finished work, I'm using a wet sanding sponge for this. And then I'm going over with the wet rag, just take up any kind of debris that might be on there. All right. So there you have it. We're gonna call that done. I'm gonna put the ceiling fan up. We're not gonna do any priming or painting, because we're gonna be doing some priming and painting on another day. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the ceiling fan installed. That way, we can have that done. All right, folks. So we're just gonna try to make some quick work of this. I'm gonna just get all of these parts for this ceiling fan out of the box. So we just have inventory on everything that we got and everything that we need. We're just gonna pull everything out first. Once I got that out, we just get right on to my blade assembly. Um, I haven't put together a couple of these before. It's just easy for me just to start with the blade, and I just make a little assembly line. Just get all of them laid out, all of the brackets, or the hardware for the blades, get everything set up, and then pretty much get to it. So, like I said, all we're gonna do is lay them out, get everything staged. Like, go ahead and fix the fan to the fixture. Just go ahead and set it in. What these do, they take a screw and they have a washer on it. And so just for each one, I'm gonna just go ahead and put the washers that I need on the blades that they go to, and then start putting these screws in them. And so again, this is nothing super complicated. You just want to keep track of all of your parts, because some of these things they come with the exact number that you need. This one I got, however, came with one spare, and the chances of you just losing one screw is quite rare. You normally lose a bunch because you're dropping them and stuff like that, but they give you one shot. So they just got one spare in there. So you definitely want to keep inventory of your screws, your washers, all your parts. All right, so now that I got that done, go ahead, set that aside and start working on the bracket that goes on our receptacle box up in the ceiling. This white piece is the covering for it. And so what I'm gonna do, there are two screws that you got to take out in order to get that thing fastened on there. One screw stays, well, two screws stay in, two screws come out. The two screws that stay in, you just unscrew those a little bit to get a little room so that the covering can fit over those screws. And then it's like a turn hook um, mechanism on it that keeps it in place. So as y'all just saw, I still have wires hanging down from the top from our ceiling, and you never want to get off track and just start touching wires. So I know I turn those wires on just to make sure that the light switch I put on there work. And since I detached the light, I need to shut that power back off now that I'm about to be assembling this fan. The other thing, I got my handy dandy voltage pin with me. So, even though we just turned off the breaker, it never hurts just to double check it with your multimeter or your voltage pin. And so green light is good, red light means there's power. So we're good. And so right now I'm just going to go ahead and unscrew the two screws that are in the receptacle box and then use those screws to attach this bracket for the ceiling fan on it. And what I've done is just ran ran the wiring through the hole of this bracket. That way I have easy access to it once we go to put this other piece on and have to connect these wires. All right, right now I'm unscrewing the four screws that come inside our motor mechanism for this fan. Those are the things that we're going to use to screw into the bracket we got in the ceiling. The way this works is that this black bracket that's on here, it it goes inside the bracket that's on the ceiling, and then you screw the screws through the holes, and that ties in both the bracket on the ceiling and the bracket that's on this motor. And so pretty much it slides right on in there. Nothing difficult about it. I turned it that way because I wanted to do my wires from a certain side. Um, and so that's just a matter of preference. It doesn't matter which way you put your motor in there. And what I have to do, I got these wires a little long. I'm trying to push them back up in the hole through the attic, but it's not moving. And I don't want to take a chance of splintering the covering on these wires. And then they happen to, later on touch on some metal and ground out and, cause some problems. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut these wires back and then shave off the end of them so we have a raw part of this wire to connect to our wire on our motor. And with these two wires, these are the wires from the old wiring of this house. So I can't use like the dewiring tool. I think that's, I don't know what you call it, but it's the one that pulls the rubber sheathing off the wire, because these sheathings are so old. It doesn't work with these, so I have to use my snips to kind of shave around outside and then pull off the sheathing. And I had a couple goes at this putting these nuts on it, these wire nuts on it, because as I twisted and twisted it, I actually twisted the old wire to the point where it came off, so I had to cut it back and then just restart again. And I think that happened twice, and it made the two wire nuts that I had unusable because the wire, and it's not really a wire that's in there. It's more like a cable, like a copper cable you have in a Romex that was stuck inside the wing nuts, which I didn't really have to tell y'all that, but hey, that's kind of what happened as I was doing it. So in case y'all wonder maybe why it's taking so long. But hey, that's one of the things. Things happen as you start, doing your work. So the idea is just don't get frustrated, just keep on moving, keep pushing forward, and you're gonna get it done. So for me, anytime I'm doing this, I always have a bunch of wire nuts with me, because when you're up, no need to keep going back down if you end up dropping one or something like that. So I just keep them handy, so that wasn't even a big pause in time or for our productivity here. And so this covering goes right on up there. Like I said, there are two screws that it fits on and it hooks into, and then you use the other two screws that you unscrewed, screw those back through, and that keeps it in place permanently. And so now it's just putting the blades on. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just put one screw for each blade on it. That way, I can just get it on, um, get it up there, and then I'll come back and we'll tag in the other screws. And this way is, I find it, pretty good because I mean it seems like it just rolls right to where I need it and worked out pretty good. And so after that we just put in the second screws and then torque them down. When I say torque them down, I got my drive on a very, very light setting because I don't want to script out the screws. So, it doesn't really take much to get these things tight. All right, so a lot has happened since y'all just saw me. Pretty much we got the ceiling fan in, got the light in, uh, got the pulls and everything on it. Everything's looking good. It's working good. It's not wobbling anything. We got the register in the ceiling looking nice and all is good. So we'll call that done. Done and done.